Pete Haskell for This Week in East Brunswick, and joining us now is Phil Hossler, the head athletic trainer at East Brunswick High School, and Phil has recently been honored. The Eastern Athletic Trainers Association has awarded him as the Trainer of the Year for the district. Tell us a little bit about the award.
Well, there are 10 districts across the nation. This particular award encompasses basically New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware.
I guess the question is, athletic trainers on the high school level, what do you do? Does that mean you wrap ankles better than anybody else?
Well, the individuals or the schools that have never had an athletic trainer on staff really don't understand what you can get for your money. The athletic trainer, the primary concern that we have is the prevention of athletic injuries rather than the follow-up or the treatment. If we can prevent through education of coaches and athletes, flexibility, water, stretching, proper diet, and then sure, when an athlete gets injured, then the athletic trainer is the first one on the scene. And following the injury, then in my situation, being a full-time athletic trainer, I actually do physical reconditioning during the school day on the athletes. And then I'm there for all the home games and practices. So in essence, they end up with an in-house physical therapist, first aider, someone who can evaluate the injuries, provide treatments, do all the insurance, do the pre-physical, before the pre-participation physicals before the sports start.
I take it with that said, there is a lot of training involved on your part to become an athletic trainer and to do the wide range of things that you do.
Yeah, there's a national certification exam, and you have to put in almost 1,000 hours in preparation for the exam under a certified athletic trainer. And here in New Jersey, we have a registration process through the Board of Medical Examiners also. So we are both certified nationally, registered in the state, and for 6 years now I've been working with the Department of Education to obtain a certificate from the Department of Education for the high school athletic trainer, and we're getting pretty near the end of that process, and if we get that in New Jersey, we'll be the first state in the nation to have it.
Now, don't be modest, but Athletic Trainer of the Year, what makes you the best trainer in the district?
You know, I don't know. It's a difficult question sometimes. I think a lot of it has to do with conquering many small battles over the years. There have been stories where athletic trainers were the first on the scene, performed CPR, and actually saved an athlete's life. But I think the articles that I've had and the offices that I've held and the student trainer program that I have, I've been very fortunate with my student trainers. I have my first 2 student trainers out of East Brunswick, as a matter of fact, are now high school trainers in the state of New Jersey. So I think over several years you begin to make small impacts on people, and they begin to pile up after a while.
You have written extensively. Your second book is coming out next month. What can you tell us about the book? What's it about?
The second book is an organization and administration guide to the high school athletic training program. It gets into how to promote athletic training, legal concerns, working with student trainers, paperwork, how to promote the athletic training throughout the community and the school, working with the cafeteria. I have a new program that I started at the cafeteria at school where we try and get the athletes more attuned to proper carbohydrate sources as part of their lunch choices. So it's sort of an overall campus program.
The book, is it directed toward trainers, school administrators, coaches, athletes? Who's the book for?
The first audience would be athletic trainers who are working in the high school already. The second audience would be those college students who are studying to be athletic trainers. And finally, there's a lot in there for high schools that don't even have athletic trainers yet. Does
it basically tell them how they can get away without one or why they should have one?
Obviously, there's a chapter in there called How to Acquire an Athletic Trainer. It's a step-by-step process, tells you what you can get for your money and different ways in which different job descriptions in which you can put together a position for an athletic trainer.
The position of a trainer, obviously you mentioned a wide range of things. The other articles, are they on anything specifically, or is it again across the spectrum?
A variety of topics, all the way from podiatric assessments to body fat assessments for wrestlers.
Body fat assessment for wrestlers is in some ways very controversial. Wrestlers trying to drop weight to make a certain weight class. What's the most important thing there, and how do you judge?
The most important thing for a wrestler is the determination of how much fat he has on his body. That's the bottom line. If he doesn't have the fat, he has no business trying to lose the weight. So last year I developed a system in which I measure the athletes and determine the lowest weight class that they can safely obtain with no fear of some of the practices that we've all heard about that exist in wrestling. And our wrestling program at the high school this year has done a couple things, I think, which make us exemplary throughout the state. We actually provide food for the wrestlers after they make weight, and I dictate what they can eat and how much they can eat. So we've gotten rid of that lose 10 pounds, gain 10 pounds, lose 12 pounds, gain 8 pounds, that up and down yo-yo type syndrome. Our wrestlers are really pretty good about it this year. They're always within 5 pounds of where they belong.
And just finally, some benefits to the trade. You are traveling to Scandinavia, the athletic trainer for the U.S. team handball squad. What can you tell us about that trip?
I'm going to be gone for about 2.5 weeks in March to the World Games in Norway and Sweden. I got contacted by the physician for the national team, and he asked me to accompany the team over. And it should be quite large. Team handball is the second largest sport in Europe, second only to soccer.
Well, Phil, congratulations on the award, the District Trainer of the Year Award, the Eastern Athletic Trainers Association. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Phil Hossler, the East Brunswick Head Athletic Trainer for Athletics. I'm Pete Haskell for This Week in East Brunswick.
High school athletic trainer Phil Hossler and students at East Brunswick High School are involved in a clothes drive this week. Here's Phil Hossler and Bears quarterback Ryan Cosentino with the details.
Well, the idea of collecting clothing for Goodwill Industries started the last couple years. I've noticed that the phys ed locker clean out and the lost and found that occurs in the high school throughout the year got to be quite a pile. So what we did, rather than simply throw it in dumpsters, was we began to bag it, and I called Goodwill because they're very receptive, and they come to the high school and pick it up. So it worked out very well to, rather than merely throw it in the dumpster, that we recycle this material. So they were very happy to get it, and we were happy to do something good with it.
And now, Ryan, can anybody in town contribute to this idea?
Well, this year, the varsity club, we opened it up to the entire school pretty much, and what we're doing is during all of next week, they're going to be bringing clothes to their homerooms, and we're going to be collecting all the clothes from the homerooms, and we've given out a little incentive even because at the end of the week, whichever homeroom has the most amount of clothes is going to get a free breakfast, which the football booster club has sponsored. They're going to supply bagels and juice and everything. So yeah, pretty much anyone in the school can contribute.
Okay, now it's called Sweater Days, but can you bring anything other than a sweater?
Yeah, well, it got started as just sweaters, and that's how it started out. But you know, kids were asking about bringing other things, and now you can bring in anything from old jackets, pants, shoes, you know, any items of clothing you have, you can bring in.
Okay. And Phil, now an article mentioned that other associations were contacted to contribute. What are some of these?
Well, in New Jersey, for example, our State Athletic Association, the State Football Coaches Association, the State Soccer Coaches Association, the National Athletic Trainers Association, the National Association for the State High School Associations, and if you count the people that I did on listservs and all these association memberships, probably about 35,000 people had the opportunity to be notified about this. I took what I've been doing for the last 2 years here at the high school, and I expanded it now and took it across the nation. And we hope to generate in excess of 5,000 sweaters in one day.
How can East Brunswick residents, other than students at the high school, get involved if they would like to?
Well, the easiest way would be to give it to your child if you have a child in the high school. Second is to simply come by the gymnasium area, drop it off, ask for my office or whatever. I have boxes outside my office, and just drop it in the box, and then when it's all said and done, I'll give Goodwill a call, and they'll come to the high school and pick it up. Goodwill was the logical choice for me. I'd done a couple activities with other organizations and settled on Goodwill. Goodwill Industries is one of the largest providers in the world for employment and training for people with disabilities. They have 1,500 retail stores throughout the country, and what they do is take donated items and they resell them and that's how they fund their educational and training programs for the disabled Americans.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Forbes, and I'm at East Brunswick High School with athletic trainer Phil Hossler. Mr. Hossler's been with the district for 18 years and is the only athletic trainer in the state and national Hall of Fame. He's also the author of several textbooks and articles on training and physical therapy. Mr. Hossler, we are standing in the new training facility at the high school, which I understand is much larger than the old facility. Can you talk about that?
Oh, it's a beautiful facility. It's a model, I think, for the rest of the county and probably the rest of the state. It's designed for easy supervision as well as traffic control. The previous room was about 180 square feet. The new room approaches 1,100 square feet. So what's gained is the ability to handle more than one athlete easily, and the room is divided into pockets of activity. There's an area set aside for treatments. There's an area set aside for pre-practice and pre-game taping. There's an area set aside for rehab activities in which people are in motion but no fear of someone bumping into them. There's a storage in the room. There's a separate office for consultations with parents and athletes. So it's really designed very, very well. We're really very fortunate to have this facility for our use now.
And how does this new facility compare with some of the other districts, the area school districts?
Well, several districts in our county in particular have added new training rooms, but they've sort of had to put it in existing structures. So they were sort of landlocked by walls. Being part of the new construction, we were able to design the room such that the supervision and the traffic pattern was able to match my request. And I was very fortunate to have several people in the district, from Don Ewins, the district building and grounds supervisor, Charlie King, who is the board member on the Buildings and Grounds Committee, to our building principal, Bob Murphy, and the supervisor of athletics, Frank Knoppenberger, who all sort of gave me the opportunity to design it as I thought would best fit the needs of the athlete. So in that regard, I'm very lucky.
And in the facility, how do you go about treating injuries or tracking the injuries as students come in?
Well, just this year I purchased a software package which puts in all the athletes' names and injury parameters and then treatments. And it's a computer program, and it has more in it than I actually use. You can do research out of this injury package. But I'm very fortunate too, because we have the East Brunswick Education Foundation, and I received a mini grant. And with the mini grant, I was able to purchase a Palm Pilot. And the injury software is able to be synchronized with the Palm Pilot. So as I go around the room on a busy afternoon and several people are doing several things, I can input it in the Palm Pilot, and then before I go home at night, just put it in the cradle and it'll hot sync in, and that keeps me from trying to catch up or do everything at night before I go home. So it's really technology brought to the training room, which again makes the training room that much better.
That's really wonderful. I know the training facility serves the entire district. Can you talk about how students from, say, Churchill can use the facility if they have that opportunity?
Yeah, as the athletic trainer for the district, not just the high school, my responsibilities are the injury care, the initial first aid, the injury evaluation, as well as follow-up care. So I have physical therapy facilities and treatment facilities which are available to any athlete in East Brunswick, including the Churchill. Although they're 5 miles from this building, they can come up after their school day and get the same physical therapy care, injury evaluation that the high school athletes can.
Mr. Hossler, can you talk about the size of the athletic program and the number of students it serves?
East Brunswick, being one of the larger high schools in the state, we have a very large athletic program. We have, including the athletes that play more than one sport, we exceed 1,500 athletes every year. And injury-wise, some years are better than others. This fall, so far, has been a particularly hard-hit season. When an athlete walks in and says, "Mr. Hossler, this hurts," or whatever, or I pick them up off the field, we record a sheet. Every big injury, little injury is recorded. And I did a rundown at the end of the fall season. We were averaging 3 injuries a day, every day school was in session.
Now, the room is set up very specifically. You had some specific design ideas. Can you talk about the different areas, such as the treatment area?
Right. The room was laid out in pockets of activity that wouldn't interfere with each other, again, keeping the traffic pattern in mind. The treatment area is set aside so that athletes can lay down on the long tables, utilize the whirlpools. I have ultrasound, muscle stim, moist heat packs, whirlpool available. And it's set aside during the school day when the athletes come down during their lunch period. And it's large enough to house, 4, 5, 6 athletes at the same time. And then we have a separate designated taping area that now has 3 or 4 taping tables in it, whereas the old room had 1. So there's no waiting. So the athletes are done quicker by myself and my student assistants. And I have a very good student trainer program, have had for the 18 years I've been here. I've exceeded probably 70 student trainers now, 5 of which are actually certified athletic trainers now. 4 of them work in high schools in New Jersey. So they started out as my students, then they became my friends, and now they ended up as my colleagues.
Can you explain the program? How do they become student athletic trainers?
They have to express an interest. They have to approach me. Good grades are important because I have about 45 written and practical tests that they have to take. And it takes a certain type of young person to work with people their own age and to be able to divorce themselves of emotions when someone gets hurt and deal with them in a very pragmatic manner and just deal with the injury and do what you've been taught to do and to remain calm under pressure. And some young people are good at that. Some are very good at it. I've been fortunate that most of my student trainers really try and pursue something in medicine. I've had many that are now nurses, physical therapists, athletic trainers, and it's really a good program, and I'm very pleased with it. I've had 10 student trainers this year, and they've all worked out very well. They allow me to do a better job because here at East Brunswick, every team is given a walkie-talkie and a student trainer. And so I have eyes and ears everywhere, although I can't be everywhere.
And can you talk a little bit about the rehab area?
The area set aside for rehabilitation is in the back of the room, so to speak, so that there's no traffic interfering. We have 2 bicycles, a treadmill, a total gym, mini tramp, what's called a plyo rebounder, in which you can use it as a mini tramp when it's flat, or you can actually elevate it and throw weighted balls against it for upper body work. We have balance activities, proprioception. It's really a good high school program.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bill Neary, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick. With me today is Phil Hossler, the athletic trainer at East Brunswick High School and for the East Brunswick Public School System. Phil's come to me with an idea that I think is something that really has a lot of merit and things that we should do in our community to make it special, and that's called making it the heart haven of New Jersey. Basically, the idea is for East Brunswick to be one of the first towns in the state of New Jersey to really make a major commitment to having AEDs. And AEDs are automatic electronic defibrillators, which I guess we'll turn it over to Phil to explain what an AED is and how it's so much more effective than some other kinds of first aid. Phil, what is an AED?
Well, an automated external defibrillator.
External, it's not electronic. I even got the wrong word. Okay.
Automated external defibrillator is a compact. It only weighs about 4 or 5 pounds. It's not the old TV show where they say clear and they zap them and the person jumps off the table. Those days are gone. An automated external defibrillator is absolutely necessary, and the technology in today's world is just amazing. Unfortunately, 350,000 Americans die every year, and 7,000 children die every year of sudden cardiac arrest. So the idea of being able to save someone else's life with an automated external defibrillator is not science fiction anymore. It's commonplace. And as you've said, the goal is to make East Brunswick the heart haven of New Jersey with more AEDs per person than any township in the state of New Jersey. Currently, we have 34 in our township that I was able to count.
Well, with the convenience and the dummy proof of them makes them a really simple tool to use. And I do know the 34 you just talked about, we were the first community that I know in our area, and I'm not sure in the whole state, that had a police department had it. Every one of our patrol cars and traffic police cars are out on the road 24 hours a day, have AEDs in them. So that's been something that has saved some lives in the past. So
absolutely, and it's good, and it's the beginning of something very good, because time is critical. Time is critical. CPR alone is only 6 to 18% effective. But if you can get CPR and an AED started in less than 6 minutes, the survival rate is 80%. And unfortunately, each minute after that costs 10% survival.
Wow.
So if it's 6 plus 3, you've lost 30% survival rate, and it's only been 9 minutes. So it's really important that they're throughout the township, so that you're never more than a minute or two away from a business, a facility, a team, a school, somewhere where you know there's an AED and you're qualified to use them. Training is only a 4-hour course. And all the American Heart Association, Red Cross now, you can't get just CPR. You get CPR and AED trained at the same time now.
Well, that is one of the questions that we have to find answer for the township, is about the insurance and about the training and who, I mean, that's one of the questions that I know is important, is what happens if you have one of these devices and somebody isn't trained to use it. But you said even if you are trained and you use it, there's a state law now that gives some protection for people.
Yeah, there's currently a law in New Jersey, the AED law, which protects people. But see, the nice thing about the unit is it's monkey-proof. You cannot misuse it. If I were to put it on you right now in a mischievous attempt to zap you, it won't fire. As long as the machine detects a heartbeat, it won't do anything. It can't be misused.
Well, that's what they say. I mean, I know you just push the button, put the device on, and it tells you when you're ready to hit the next button, or
right.
It hits it all by itself. It is totally automatic, and that's what makes
right.
it great.
It's all voice prompted. It walks you through the steps. If you've done something wrong, it'll stop you at that step until you correct it. So you really cannot misuse it or use it incorrectly.
Well, that's tremendous. And I know the goal is for businesses, public buildings, a variety of different places. I mean, we're sitting in the library today. We hope to have one for the library in the near future. There's different places we're looking at, and we're going to try and get the support of local businesses, which I know already we have one local business who's already made a significant contribution. If you want to tell us about that business.
Richard Saker, who is the owner of the East Brunswick ShopRite. ShopRite has a tremendous community commitment involvement, and Richard donated a unit to the high school. He donated an AED unit through the ShopRite, and not only to East Brunswick, but he did likewise to South Brunswick and North Brunswick high schools as well. So through the ShopRite, they've made a real commitment to caring for the community in which their stores are placed. We had a newspaper article a couple weeks ago about this effort in the township, and one of the East Brunswick families called and asked if they could donate a unit. So the technology is there. If we get the awareness out, the response will be there, I'm sure, because it's more comforting to be in a township where you know if you one day or your relatives, you want to be minutes away. It's life-saving. It's absolutely life-saving equipment.
Well, besides the technology being so great, the price is coming down too. I know when we first purchased them for the police vehicles, what they cost at that time, and they've come down significantly, and they're even better units in some ways now.
Oh, absolutely. These 2 or 3 years ago, these units were pricing out at close to $4,000.
That's right. We paid about $3,800 a piece for them.
Right. Now they're pricing out close to $2,000. And they're small and they're compact. Like I said, this one in front of us only weighs 4.5 pounds. So it's not a cumbersome thing, and you figure if they're lightweight, they're located multiple places throughout our township, multiple people trained, it really becomes the heart haven. It's the place to be if you're going to have a cardiac arrest.
Well, the township itself has had CPR classes over the course of many years, and a lot other towns, bigger cities, have had these special kind of programs. And since you said AED is part of the training anymore, we're going to keep training more people as we go. We get certified for usage for any of these type of things. It's a fairly simple type of program. we can become a hard haven. I agree with you, and I think that's what one of the goals that we're working on is. We've talked about the efforts that we're working through the township now. Some of the groups that we work with, the community, we talked about the business contributions from ShopRite, some families. I know there's other people that you're working with. There's other groups that you've met with and talked about, and they're behind this program too. Could you tell us about some of those groups?
Oh, absolutely. Managers Field, the baseball complex, was one of the first large groups to come on board. They trained their volunteer coaches, and they have an AED on the premises.
Well, I know the story when I was a Little League coach even, about sometimes just a jolt from a baseball to the chest for a child could put him in some kind of cardiac arrest. It's not even like a natural, it's an unnatural cardiac arrest. Having that defibrillator right there a minute away in the snack bar or something, you could save that child's life instantly.
Absolutely, and that is unfortunately still an occurrence that occurs around the country. Lacrosse goalies, soccer goalies, catchers, batters, and that's usually what happens to the young children. Jane Smith, who is president of the East Brunswick Women's Club, approached me, and the Women's Club of East Brunswick has decided that fundraising for an AED for the high school is their current fundraising project.
I think it's tremendous. That's how we get started. It's a groundswell that's starting to develop, and I think to be able to promote it and discuss it is the type of things we're looking at. I mean, just when you start looking around your town and you see different shopping centers or different businesses or any place where people have large gatherings, whether it's in a public building or I mean, even a movie theater.
Absolutely.
I mean, any of those type of places has a potential for some kind of serious heart problem, and if you have one of these devices close by, you can do something about it in a hurry.
Absolutely, and I'm sure the response will come. We have multiple revenues and resources available to us. We just have to advertise, publicize, and get the response from the people. We have
well, that's what we're trying to do today. We're trying to get some people to know about it.
As you and I have spoken previously, we're putting together a committee. We want to create a steering committee in the township so that we have people that do the contacting and people to be contacted. And certainly we can search for donations, funding, grants that are all out there. The technology is nationwide. It really is.
Well, when you think about what it would take, I mean, the investment it takes, if it saves one life, how much it's invaluable then.
Absolutely.
And the program that we've started already, we've got a pretty good jump with the 34 defibrillators in our town already. But ending up with 100 at the end means that the whole town is covered. So
Absolutely.
I think your idea is a tremendous one. I think the effort you're willing to put into it is even more of a tremendous. We thank you on behalf of the town. And that committee we're going to get together will certainly beat the bushes and hit the business community and get people who have big hearts who want to save their big hearts.
Looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. Thank you.